Be gentle with the person you are becoming. There are seasons in life when you no longer feel like the person you used to be. Something inside you begins to change, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. You may still live in the same home, walk the same streets, speak to the same people, do the same work, carry the same responsibilities. But within you, something is no longer the same. The old way of living begins to feel heavy. The old way of pleasing others begins to hurt. The old way of hiding your feelings becomes harder to maintain. The old way of saying I'm fine when your heart is not fine begins to feel like a betrayal. And you may wonder, what is happening to me? Why do I feel so sensitive? Why do I need more silence? Why do I no longer fit into places where I once tried so hard to belong? Why do certain conversations feel too loud now? Why do old habits feel empty? Why does my soul feel like it is standing between two lives? One that is ending, and one that has not yet fully begun. If this is where you are, listen gently. You are not lost. You are becoming. You are not failing. You are changing. You are not weak because the old life no longer fits. You are waking up to a deeper truth within yourself. And becoming can feel tender. It can feel confusing. It can feel lonely. It can feel like standing in a doorway without knowing whether to step back or step forward. But perhaps the doorway is not here to punish you. Perhaps it is here because the soul is ready to grow. Many people speak of transformation as if it is always beautiful, as if becoming a new version of yourself is only light, only clarity, only peace. But true becoming often begins with discomfort. It begins when something that once worked no longer works. It begins when the mask becomes too heavy. It begins when the role becomes too small. It begins when your heart whispers, I cannot keep abandoning myself like this. It begins when the soul becomes tired of living in ways that are not true. This does not mean the old version of you was wrong. That version of you survived. That version of you learned how to be accepted, how to stay safe, how to avoid conflict, how to make others comfortable, how to keep going through pain, how to smile while carrying things no one could see. That version of you deserves compassion, not judgment. You do not need to hate who you were in order to honor who you are becoming. You do not need to reject your past to walk toward your future. Every version of you was trying to bring you here. The version that stayed silent because speaking once felt unsafe. The version that pleased others because love felt uncertain. The version that worked too hard because worth felt conditional. The version that held everything together because falling apart did not feel allowed. That version of you carried you. That version of you protected you. That version of you did the best it could with the awareness it had. So be gentle with who you were, and be gentle with who you are becoming. Because becoming is not a straight road. It is not always clear. Some days you may feel peaceful, as if the path has opened. Other days you may feel afraid, as if you have lost your way. Some days you may feel strong, ready to make changes, ready to speak truth, ready to live differently. Other days, you may want to return to the old life, not because it was peaceful, but because it was familiar. Do not shame yourself for this. The nervous system often chooses the familiar before it trusts the free. The heart may long for peace, but still tremble when peace requires change. The soul may know it is time to grow, but still grieve what must be released. This is human. This is tender. This is part of the journey. You are allowed to grieve the life that no longer fits, even if that life hurt you, even if that life was too small, even if that life asked you to disappear. There may still be memories there, people there, dreams there, old hopes there, a version of yourself there, who once believed staying small was the safest way to be loved. Let yourself bow to that version. Let yourself say, thank you for surviving. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for doing what you knew. But now, we are learning another way. Becoming does not mean you suddenly know who you are. Sometimes it means you only know who you can no longer pretend to be. You may not know your whole path, but you may know you cannot keep saying yes when your heart says no. You may not know your whole purpose, but you may know you cannot keep living for approval while losing your own peace. You may not know exactly what comes next, but you may know you cannot keep abandoning your soul to make others comfortable. This knowing, even if it is small, is sacred. Do not dismiss it. A quiet truth can change an entire life. A quiet truth can begin as a feeling in the body, a tightening in the chest, a heaviness after a conversation, a sadness after saying yes, a strange relief after choosing silence, a longing for a life that feels more honest. At first, you may not understand these signals. You may think you are becoming difficult, too sensitive, too distant, too emotional, too much. But perhaps you are not becoming too much. Perhaps you are becoming more real. And a person who is becoming more real will no longer fit inside the places that only loved their performance. This can be painful because some people may not understand your becoming. They may miss the version of you that never had boundaries, the version of you that always answered quickly, the version of you that carried more than was yours, the version of you that made peace by swallowing your own truth. When you begin to change, some people may call it selfish, some may call it distant. Some may say you are not the same anymore, and perhaps they are right. You are not the same, but different does not mean wrong. Growing does not mean unloving. Having boundaries does not mean your heart has become cold. Sometimes the most loving thing a soul can do is stop lying, stop pretending, stop disappearing, stop calling exhaustion devotion, stop calling self-abandonment kindness, stop calling silence peace when silence is actually fear. There is a peace that comes from truth, and there is a quiet that comes from suppression. Do not confuse the two. A suppressed heart may look calm, but inside it is slowly fading. A truthful heart may tremble, but inside it is beginning to live. So if your voice trembles as you become more honest, be gentle. If your hands shake as you choose a new path, be gentle. If your heart feels lonely while leaving old patterns behind, be gentle. You are learning to live without betraying yourself. That is holy work, and holy work is not always easy. Sometimes becoming asks you to disappoint people who benefited from your self-abandonment. Sometimes it asks you to rest when your old identity was built on overworking. Sometimes it asks you to say no when your old safety came from being agreeable. Sometimes it asks you to feel pain that you spent years outrunning. Sometimes it asks you to stop proving your worth and simply be. And for a soul that has survived by proving, simply being can feel frightening. But you do not need to earn your right to exist. You do not need to become perfect before you deserve gentleness. You do not need to be understood by everyone before your truth becomes valid. You do not need to arrive fully healed before you are worthy of peace. You are worthy, even while becoming, even while uncertain, even while tired, even while learning, even while taking one step forward and then needing to pause. Growth is not measured only by how far you move. Sometimes growth is measured by how gently you return to yourself after you stumble. There will be moments when the old pattern returns. You may people please again. You may overthink again. You may doubt yourself again. You may speak harshly to yourself again. You may seek approval again. Do not use these moments as proof that you are not changing. A seed does not become a tree in one day. A river does not carve stone with one touch. The moon does not become full in a single night. The soul also grows in phases, sometimes hidden, sometimes visible, sometimes with light, sometimes through darkness. But all the while, something is unfolding. Be patient with the unfolding. You cannot rush a becoming that is rooted in truth. You cannot force a flower open without harming its petals. You cannot shame the heart into healing faster. You cannot punish the soul into peace. So speak to yourself differently. When fear appears, do not say, "What is wrong with me?" Say, "Something in me is asking for safety." When sadness appears, do not say, "I should be over this." Say, "Something in me still needs tenderness." When uncertainty appears, do not say, "I am failing." Say, "I am in a season of becoming." When you need rest, do not say, "I am lazy." Say, "My soul is asking to breathe." The words you use toward yourself become the atmosphere of your inner world. If your inner world is filled with judgment, even healing will feel like pressure. But if your inner world is filled with compassion, even difficulty becomes a place where growth can happen. This does not mean you avoid responsibility. It means you stop using cruelty as a way to motivate yourself. It means you stop believing that harshness makes you stronger. It means you stop treating your own heart as a burden. Your heart is not a burden. Your sensitivity is not a mistake. Your need for peace is not weakness. Your longing for a more honest life is not selfish. It is the soul remembering that it was not born merely to survive. You were not born only to perform, only to please, only to produce, only to carry, only to be acceptable. There is a deeper life within you, waiting to be lived, a life with more truth, more breath, more quiet, more courage, more love that does not require you to disappear. But to enter that life, you must be willing to become unfamiliar to yourself for a while. This is one of the hidden pains of transformation. You may not yet recognize the person you are becoming. The old identity is loosening. The new identity is still forming. You are between names, between seasons, between ways of being. Do not panic in the in-between. The in-between is not empty. It is where the soul is being remade. It is where old beliefs lose their grip. It is where deeper wisdom begins to rise. It is where you learn that you can survive without the mask, that you can be loved without performing, that you can be safe without controlling everything, that you can rest without guilt, that you can say no and still be kind, that you can choose yourself without closing your heart to others. This is not selfishness. This is alignment. And when a person begins to live in alignment, they may lose what was never truly meant for their peace, but they also begin to find what can meet them more honestly, more truthful relationships, more peaceful rhythms, more sacred silence, more moments where the body can finally exhale, more mornings where the soul does not feel like it has to hide. Be gentle with this transition. You may feel grief, you may feel relief, you may feel guilt, you may feel freedom, sometimes all in the same day. This does not mean you are confused beyond repair. It means many parts of you are being heard for the first time. The part that wants safety, the part that wants truth, the part that wants love, the part that wants rest, the part that fears change, the part that knows change is necessary. Do not silence these parts. Sit with them, let them speak, let them soften, let them realize there is room within you for all of them to be held. You are not here to destroy yourself in order to become better. You are here to become whole. And wholeness does not come from rejecting the wounded places. It comes from bringing them into compassion. The frightened part of you needs compassion. The angry part of you needs compassion. The tired part of you needs compassion. The part that still misses what hurt you needs compassion. The part that is ready to leave needs compassion. The part that does not yet know how needs compassion. This is why gentleness is not weakness. Gentleness is the medicine that allows the truth to be seen without the soul shutting down. Gentleness is the space where the heart can confess what it has been carrying. Gentleness is the voice that says, you do not have to become new by hating who you are. You can become new by loving yourself back into truth. So today, do not ask yourself to transform all at once. Do not demand certainty from a season of becoming. Do not shame yourself because you are still tender. Ask only this: what is one honest step I can take today? Maybe the step is rest. Maybe the step is silence. Maybe the step is an apology. Maybe the step is a boundary. Maybe the step is drinking water. Maybe the step is turning off the noise. Maybe the step is admitting, I am not okay. Maybe the step is placing your hand on your heart and saying, I am still learning. Small, honest steps are how the soul returns, not by force, not by fear, not by becoming perfect, but by returning again and again to what is true. One breath, one choice, one boundary, one act of kindness toward yourself, one moment of not abandoning your own heart. Do not underestimate these small returns. The world may not notice them, but the soul does. The soul knows when you choose peace over performance. The soul knows when you choose truth over approval. The soul knows when you rest before collapse. The soul knows when you pause before reacting. The soul knows when you finally speak to yourself as someone worth loving. And slowly a new life begins to form. Not necessarily louder, not necessarily more impressive, but more honest, more peaceful, more yours. This is the life that grows from gentleness. A life where your worth is not measured by exhaustion. A life where love does not require self-erasure. A life where silence is no longer hiding, but healing. A life where strength includes softness. A life where you can be human without apology. You are becoming someone who can hold both tenderness and courage. Someone who can feel deeply without drowning. Someone who can love others without leaving yourself behind. Someone who can walk through uncertainty without abandoning the present moment. Someone who can say, I do not know everything yet, but I trust the quiet wisdom growing within me. Trust that quiet wisdom. It may not shout, It may not explain the whole future. It may not give you every answer, but it will guide you, one honest step at a time. The deepest guidance often comes quietly, through peace in the body, through heaviness around what is no longer true, through the breath, through stillness, through the soft knowing that you cannot continue living against your own soul. Listen, not with panic, not with pressure, with tenderness. The person you are becoming does not need to be forced into existence. They need to be welcomed. Welcomed through rest, welcomed through truth, welcomed through patience, welcomed through forgiveness, welcomed through love. So may you welcome yourself as you are becoming. May you stop speaking to your growth as if it is too slow. May you stop calling your sensitivity a problem. May you stop calling your need for peace a weakness. May you stop punishing yourself for not being the old version of you. That version brought you here. Bless it, thank it, release it gently, and let the new life breathe. Let the new self take one small step. Let the heart become honest. Let the body soften. Let the soul rest. Let the path unfold without demanding that you see every mile. You do not have to know the whole way. You only need to stay close to what is true. And what is true will not always be loud. Sometimes it will be a quiet no, sometimes a softer yes, sometimes a deep exhale, sometimes a tear, sometimes a peace you cannot explain, sometimes the simple knowing, I am not who I was, and that is not a loss, it is a becoming. So be gentle with the person you are becoming. They have traveled through pain. They have survived old versions of life. They have carried invisible grief. They have loved even when afraid. They have continued even when tired. They are learning to live with more honesty now. They are learning not to disappear. They are learning that peace matters. They are learning that rest is sacred. They are learning that love begins within. Do not rush them. Do not judge them. Do not abandon them. Walk with them. Breathe with them. Bless them. And when the night feels uncertain, when you cannot see who you are becoming yet, remember this: a seed does not look like the tree it carries. A dawn does not look like the full day it begins. A soul in healing may not yet look like the peace it is growing toward. But something sacred is happening. Quietly, slowly, honestly, you are becoming. And that is enough for today. One breath, one step, one gentle return. Begin there.